Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of Blue Book MKE and the creator, co-founder of Blue Book MKE. My wife and I founded the company back in 1990, and creator of the Let's Level Up Your Business 5-Day Challenge. In today's video, this is like one of those get real videos because I do some coaching for business owners, people who are trying to make that transition from being employee to employer. And I can tell you right off the bat, it's not for everybody to be an employer. I mean, just flat out. But it is for everybody to try to find something that they could do to bring in extra income, because it takes a certain skill set and a certain mindset for people to, number one, be 100% dependent on their own income, on what they bring in. Takes a certain mindset that you have to get used to, and it could, for some people it could be quick, some people it could be very difficult, and then also some people don't really want the responsibility. I mean, just think, I mean, every week I have to be responsible for almost 100 people's paycheck. Some people, they don't want to even think about having that stress. They're like, I could barely work everything out with my own paycheck, and you're paying almost 100 people a week. Man, it's going to be more than that, because that's just how I'm built. I get a lot out of being able to, number one, make employment opportunities for people. So my mindset is kind of different. But this video here is going to help you out, because what I want to do is I want to take you back to the what was that movie, Back to the Future, where they were like, they went back and they were looking at things, and you're like, this is what happened back then, and we can make some changes and stuff like that. I'm gonna tell you, you don't want to do that. What happened in the past is in the past, and we're going to talk about now. And but one of the things that I do, go back to my past experiences to help people that I coach, or just someone that I'm talking to that might just say, well, hey, I want to start my own business and I want to be able to do some things. What are some of the things that you got to go through? And then I'll talk to them and, give them a little bit of advice. And then they come back and they'll say like, hey, it's harder than it's just too hard. What can I do? I mean, man, I'm frustrated. I don't know where to turn. So let me tell you with my story, a little bit about my story. And I'm not going to get into full detail. I will in other videos, but I just want to give you a little bit about it's too hard. Like right now I'm seeing a lot of people, and I guess this is like one of those things where like our parents was like, hey, we didn't have this when we were growing up and you have it. So it's a lot, so be quiet and just do it because it's easier for you. And then we'll take that a certain way, and we're like, well, hey, that was back then. Well, that's kind of what I'm doing with this video here. Is like, it's one of those things where, hey, it was a lot harder back then. And what I'm really trying to do, and what I think that what our parents might, a different way and a better way to describe it or to express it to us, is that, hey, you have a lot of opportunities that we didn't have, and you should make the most of them. You should look at things not as it's hard. You should look at it as, hey, it's really wide open. So let me break down. When I had a consultation, well, not a consultation. This is actually a consulting client, and he said, "Well, man, it's just tough right now. I don't know if I'm doing the right things. I'm following what you told me to do, and it's like it's tough, and I could hear that quit sound, that smell of quit." And so I was like, let me just tell you what I went through, because I listened to him and he gave me a long list of what he has to do every day and making his business. One of the things, the benefits, is that he's able to do all of that from his home. Like, man, I wish I was able to do that back then. So I'm going to take you back to the 90s, back to 1990, when my wife and I started our first company, our first successful company. We were 20 years old, and we had tried some other things. We had met when we were 20, and we tried a few things. They didn't work out, but that's how it is. Some businesses will, some businesses won't. But there was one that we did. It was an advertising publication. And get this, we never went to school for it. We never went to school for, they call it graphic design now. Back then they used to call it typesetting. We taught ourselves all of that stuff. And trust me, there was a lot of mistakes made. But there were people that had went to school for this stuff and had actually worked for companies that, the daily papers. Back then it was the daily papers, and people were coming out with these free publications, which is what we jumped in on. But they had actually worked for companies and made these free papers, and they were not able to survive. And I think that what happened, and it was back then, it was a lot of accidental things that we did, but we actually just had our mind set on a goal of, we're going to make this whole thing work. We don't have any preconceived notions about how it has to be, that we're just going to keep going down that trail. And I'm going to talk about some of those things that we did that show that we just kept going down the trail, and that it was a lot harder back then. It's just the same hard now. I don't want to discount difficulties, because what's going on now is just it's the same type of hard. It's just in a different way, because our minds have been trained in a different way. But back then, this is what we had to go through. We started our publication, and my wife and I actually had to go it's store to store sales, door to door. Went door to door, store to store. She was on one side of the street, I was on the other side of the street. Now, for you that don't know this, cell phones were not there at that time. Maybe rich people had them. We didn't have cell phones, and even regular average people did not have cell phones. So we had to go store to store. You had to have a business. We had our telephone for business at home, because we were working it out of our home. But that was how everything was working back then. So imagine right now that you didn't have that cell phone connected to you, and you're trying to, go out and generate business. So it's just as hard now to call stores up and to keep their attention, to give them on the phone. And then back then, imagine walking into a store and they're trying to keep the business owner's attention to get them to advertise your face-to-face with them. I can say that experience with the face-to-face did make me a stronger person, because when someone tells you to get out of their store, or they're not interested face-to-face, and you continue to do that down the street and become successful, where you might hit 10 places and you sell one, and you get just used to doing that, and then you come back around and that person seems like to be a different person the next time you talk to them, and they say that they want to do business with you. It gives you an insight that people say no for their own reasons, and they may be saying no to you because you're not approaching them the right way, or not asking them the right questions. Because every business owner, here's one thing that everybody should know about business owners, is that all business owners want to make more money. All business owners want to make it easier for their business to get more customers. Knowing that, all you have to do is you have to figure out a way to express your product or service on top of that, to have them believe that you're the one that's able to do it. And we were able to do that, but I think that we were able to get to that point because we were seeing people face to face. That part now is a little bit more difficult. I would say a little bit more difficult now, because a lot of the people that are starting businesses now don't have that interaction. They have that employee, employer type of interaction. But when they actually become the employer or the business owner, and they start interacting with the consumers, they're like, this whole thing, I know I got a product or service that could sell, but why isn't it selling? This because you don't understand that interaction, and you're going to have to go through a period of time where you learn to understand that. So we would have to go store to store. We would have to typeset the ads. We would have to collect the money, show proofs, get an approval from the business owner, collect the money. we would have to deliver the publications, and we did it one day a week. It was 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. I would drive, or my wife would drive, and then I would jump out, put the books in the stores. It would take that long to deliver them. Also, we would have to drive the layouts to the printer. It was a 1 hour drive there and a 1 hour drive back, and we'd have to get it there to them by 7 a.m. in the morning. And I'm going to tell you in a second why that was very important, or the difficulty in that or perceived difficulty. But we still got the job done. Back then, the internet was not here yet, so you couldn't send files to the internet. You couldn't send an email. It didn't exist at that time. So if you think about that, we were doing this at a time where there were no cell phones. There was no internet. This was the way that business was being done. So we'd have to put the layouts down on these big grids, like print them out, put them down. Like it wasn't where you could just move stuff on a computer and say, okay, we're going to send the file. No, that did not exist at that time. So we would have to drive the layouts to the printer. And during this whole time, we were taking care of 3 daughters. I was working 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. in the morning at a security guard job. So I would come home, get a few hours sleep, and then we would hit the streets door to door. At that time, we had to get a babysitter, and my wife was also working part-time at a factory. And this was the way that we ran our business for 8 months before she was able to quit her job sooner. And then after 8 months, I was able to quit my job. Now, the thing about it is that we had to stay very focused to be able to get this done. Now, so what I'm saying in this video, really what I'm trying to get across this video is that it's always going to be hard. And if we, at any point in this, we could have thought that it was just too difficult. And also one of the things that if you want to really look at this here is that we mainly stayed focused on what mattered. Like we didn't go and get involved in something that wasn't going to get us to the goal of our business. We didn't if we have to typeset the ads to get approvals, to get paid from the advertiser, we did that. We didn't try to come up with something else. We didn't go get involved with something else that wasn't going to keep us on track with that goal. We didn't try to do something that was easier for the door to door, the store to store. We knew that the direct line to success was going to be to go to the store and talk to that owner. Like there was no easy way around it. And in other videos coming up, I'm going to talk about the mindset that you got to have to be able to do that if you have to do it. And now it's mainly on the phone or even with your website. There has to be a certain way that you construct your website for people to even consider what you had to offer. A lot of you got very fancy websites that don't make any money. And if you were to go to one of my company's websites, you have to make them different depending on your industry. But I have websites that some people would look at and they'd be like, well, it looks nice, but I would do a lot of this stuff to it. But I'm like, this website makes millions of dollars. So why would I do what you're talking about when you don't have a website that makes millions of dollars? Why would I do that? So there's certain things that we would always stay focused on. And what that was that we wanted to make sure that everything that we were doing was getting us to the goal that we wanted to be at. At that time, we had a goal because, when you're working security guard job from 8 p.m. to 4 p.m., you're not making that much money. As a matter of fact, I was making $364.84. That's what I was making every 2 weeks. Back then, it was like $6.25 per hour, and they gave me a raise at one point. So you can see I was very motivated not to be stuck in that job, and that was back in 1990. But this was the goal. We were like $6,000 is what we would like to make, because we wanted to have this Back then, you know, it was a couple of cars. Just we added up stuff. It was crazy how we came up with that amount, but we came up with that amount based off of what we wanted. That was basically off of what we wanted. It was going to be able to save money. Well, I ran some numbers just for that one business. And that's from what we did from that business has sprouted out to have multiple businesses, real estate investments, all types of stuff. But I ran some numbers based off of what we had with our QuickBooks software, and we did not have QuickBooks for I don't know when QuickBooks was invented, but so some records that we have were not in I didn't have access to unless I was to go back through all of those taxes, maybe order them up. But from this of pushing and continually working hard, from what I was able to see in our QuickBooks from when we started keeping the records in QuickBooks, was $8 million. $8 million plus dollars. There was some change on there. $8 million plus dollars. So, and this, one of the things another thing that I was getting across to my coaching client was that, see, when you're doing all of this stuff right here on a day-to-day basis, you're doing all of this, but you don't know, and I'll even take away this here. That was the goal. But you don't know what that can add up to be. And I like to express it this way. I don't want to know, we want to know, but it's not good to know what the fruits of your labor are going to be. Because that's what gives us life. That's what makes us feel good about that we're accomplishing something. If you knew that what you were going to do, the exact result from it, I guarantee you that at some point you would make problems for yourself. Because really, all of the experiences and everything that you do, the ups and downs, the potential problems that you could have, the way that you solve those problems, that's where life really is. Like, this was the life. Like, I didn't know when I was going through all of this stuff right here to build a business, raising the family. My wife and I still married together, built $8 million plus dollars from when I was able, from what I was able to see there. 4 very successful businesses, real estate, all of that stuff. I didn't know that right here. So if I already knew that outcome, I knew what I wanted, but if I already knew that outcome, it would have kind of been like somebody giving you a Christmas present and you already know what's inside of it. Do you really get as much out of it when you know what's already inside of that present? So that's what I'm saying, is that think of your life as like a present. And if you can get to that point to where you're like, I don't have to know every little detail about how stuff is going to work out, that I'm just going to get into the process. We work this process every week. We put out a publication. Here we go. We put out, well, really, even with life, we worked it out every week. So we worked out this. This was our routine. We did that week after week after week after week after week, and we would have success after success after success. Then sometimes it would be down, success. But the thing is that it was a life experience. And we were able to become very successful from it. And you could become very successful from it. You could have bigger goals. You could, your 8 million, you might have 16 million. You might have a $1 trillion. Whatever that number is, you might be at. The thing about it is that, you have your goal. But this here is where the life is. If you have your process and you stay focused on what is going to get you to that goal, you're going to get there, you're going to get close to it, you're going to exceed it. That's what I'm here to tell you. So if you would like, what I want to do is I want to make an offer to you. There's a link either above or below this video. And if you want to level up your business, if you want to get with someone who is doing it and who has been through the ups and downs and who's going to be real with you about what you need to do to get to where you want to be, then I'm that person for you. I'm that person for you. I'm at a time in my life where now I've really stepped away from my businesses. People are running them, and I want to get this knowledge out to people. I want to get real knowledge to you, no fluff. I'm going to tell you straight up. Just like when I was in the military, I was in the Army from the age of 18 to the age of 20, and it was real. It was straight up real. And that's what I'm going to be with you. I'm going to be straight up real. Thank you for your time. This is Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of Blue Book MKE, and the co-founder and creator of Let's Level Up Your Business 5-Day Challenge. Link is above or below this video. You can get registered for the next upcoming 5-day challenge. Thank you for your time.